Okay, what's going on, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Energized. Today we have a very special guest on the show.
We have the most wanted man in SBG Ireland. This man has racked up 11 pro MMA wins. He is Myles Splinter Price. Myles,
Hey
how you doing?
guys, how's it going? Thanks so much for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Well, it's great to have
Absolutely
you.
no problem.
Well, where exactly are you based now? Just during this quarantine?
I'm down here in Kilkenny. I'm stuck indoors here in Kilkenny with my girlfriend and my animals. So they're keeping me company and doing a bit of online work at the moment. So yeah, it's good.
What animals do you have, actually?
I have a dog and I have two cats.
Oh, so the house is full. It's a zoo.
Full house, full. Yeah, it is. Yeah, proper animal person, me. So
Some people might say Myles Exotic.
that's it. Myles Exotic. Joe Exotic for president.
You better believe it. You better believe it. Myles, how's training going during quarantine? You doing much running, or what have you been doing?
I try to train every day anyway, so I get about half an hour to an hour in every day, and I just kind of like go with the flow. What I want to do, like if I want to go for a run, I go for a run. When I do kettlebells, I do kettlebells. If I want to do MMA based stuff, I do that. So I think when you're kind of stuck indoors and you're doing all this stuff, I don't particularly want to have a routine. I just want to know that I'm going to train every day, and I just push myself every day, and that's it.
Yeah. Do you find it difficult getting up every day doing it? Because we've been basically in quarantine for a month now. Do you think it's there's no date set where everything goes back to normal? Do you find it difficult to get up?
Not really. I've trained in worse circumstances than this, to be honest with you. I don't know. When you train 2 or 3 times a day for competitions, like, you know what I mean, and you've been doing it for a certain period of time, it doesn't really feel normal unless you train on a daily basis. So I don't really think about it. I just do it I don't do it to train for fights. I do it because it just makes me feel better as a person. You know what I mean? So yeah. I do it for that reason. If I did it for fights, I probably wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. No, that's actually
who I am.
That's actually great to hear, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it really is. We love hearing that people love doing what they do, and they're not just in it for the money. You know what I mean?
No.
Did you have anything lined up before this all happened, Myles, or?
I was in talks about. Well, to be honest with you, I was meant to fight on the November card there in London against Alfie Davies, but my mum felt very sick, and I just had to have my priorities in check there, and I looked after her. She moved in with me for a while, so that was the last time I worried about a fight. But yeah, I was talking to my manager and all that, and we had fights lined up, some good fights. So I don't know if it's going to be with Bellator or anything like that, because there's kind of a bit of clash of interest there, but sure, we'll see. You know what I mean, for what happens when I come back.
Yeah, I'm very sorry to hear that, Myles. But like as Ross mentioned earlier in the great intro, that you're one of the most wanted men in Ireland. But can you tell us exactly how you started mixed martial arts? Because it's very interesting. You have a very interesting background.
Well, first off, I worked in a gym in Kilkenny called Euro Gym. I kind of did my fitness trade there, and then a lad came into the gym, Polish fella, Adam Schlewinski, and he had a set of cabbages for ears on him. I was like, what the fuck's going on with this lad? And I just started training with him. I was just curious, like, what wrestling was. I didn't really know what it was. He was Polish wrestling champion at the time, and I was like, fuck, right, like, I mean, I might as well take advantage of this, like, while it's here, you know what I mean? So I just started training with him every day. Became a great friend of mine, and I went to I did all the MMA leagues with Mark Leonard was running at the time. Had my first pro fight after training away a bit. I went on a J1 is what I did when I was like 18 or something, 17 or 18, and then I was trained. First gym I trained in America was SPG Berkeley under Alan and Lily Pagel. They had a great gym over there. I loved the gym over there. It was fantastic. And yeah, sure, I had my first fight on Tribal Warfare when I came back, and kind of went from there then.
Yeah, and you're addicted, were you?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I really enjoyed competing. Yeah.
That's class.
There's a serious bug to it, isn't there? MMA, like, people just get it and like they can't get enough of it.
Yeah, that is it. Like, it's just one of the. I think it's the high of a win as well. You know what I mean? And the learning curve of a loss as well. Like they're the two they're two extreme polar opposites. Like the win is like super high, and then the loss is like, you know, super tough, and you have to like, you learn a lot about yourself. So for me, it's a win-win kind of thing, you know. So it just teaches me a lot about me, like, you know.
Yeah, you're obviously based now out in Kilkenny, but like you do train Team Rhino a lot as well in Dublin. How did you first like come across Team Rhino in Dublin?
I just messaged Andy, to be honest with you. I've always been one of those guys that you might notice, like, if I'm on the lead up to a fight, I'll train in a couple of different places. Like, you know, like I train as well with Mark Casterly and Champion Muay Thai. He does me pads, and I've always kind of been a bit like that. Like, you know what I mean? I'm loyal and I'm committed to one particular team, but I love traveling to different gyms to get different ideas and perspectives and roll with different bodies. So I was never really afraid to just find out, like, after I had me bit with SBG, I was like, look, the next best team in Ireland is Team Rhino. It's that simple, you know. So let's not beat around the bush, just ask them. And my auntie lived literally like a stone throw away from the gym in Baldoyle at the time. So, and you know, they're right up my street personality wise, the likes of the north side lads, like, you know, the piss takers, they're a bit rough and ready, you know. So I was like, oh, can't, you know, it's a win-win for me.
Yeah, no, there's some serious personalities in there, like from like Neil to Redzer to Andy Ryan as well. Like he's gas.
You wouldn't want to have you wouldn't have thick enough skin hanging around with boys.
Yeah. I remember actually in the build-up to two Bellators ago in Dublin, and I interviewed Redzer, and then after I asked Andy to take a photograph of me and Redzer, and then he ended up taking a few selfies, and then the next, like later on the day, I was like, what the fuck is this?
That's Andy, all right, yeah.
In fairness, I think it's great that you open yourself up, Myles, and you go around the gyms and train. I've actually heard great things of Mark Casterly. I actually know a fella, Conor O'Reilly, who trains in Champion, and he couldn't speak any higher of him. Yeah, he is, isn't he? I actually work with Conor, so he's a good mate of mine. And then obviously, like, the guys in Rhino are top level as well. And then I think you're notoriously known for going out and doing a bit of training in AKA. How did the training in AKA come about?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I lost the Norman Park fight, and it was kind of one of those things that I always knew I was going to fight Norman again. Circumstances weren't like, you know, I just came to fight, and I wasn't even really thinking of the fight against Norman, to be honest. I just kind of like went straight into it. I was like, do you know what? I prepared for a fight. Fuck it. Like, how am I going to turn down a co-main event against Norman? I'll just do it, you know. I knew I had my advantages going into the fight. I would have liked more time to prepare wrestling-wise, but I don't regret a thing about that, because that's why I went to AKA, you know, because I literally, like, he fucking kicked me arse in wrestling. Like, he tossed me around the place, you know. It was kind of like, it was a typical striker versus wrestler fight. He came out all battered. Like, it was a clear advantage for me for striking. Got up to my feet a few times, which is okay, but you know, wrestling wise, he was just on another level. He's one of the best in the world at that, you know, like having that kind of grindy style and just getting through.
He is. He loves up against the cage, doesn't he?
He's brilliant at it, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have to give it to him. And look, you can either be bitter about your losses to your opponents, or you can learn from it. You know, and I chose to go to, you know, the best wrestling place in America. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The guys, even who I lived with, Kyle Crutchmere, is like a 2-time AA wrestler, and got loads of sparring in with a lot of great guys over there. And I was like, you know what, I wanted to go to Jackson Wink. I messaged TriStar. I was getting onto Redzer about TriStar, and you know what, Irish weather, I was like, I'm not going to fucking TriStar. And then Jackson Wink, I heard it was like a lot of domestics going on, and a lot of, like, you know, people falling out with it. I don't, like, fuck that. Like, I know that's in every gym, but like, some gyms are a little worse than others. And I was like, here, like, you know, I think I'll go to AKA, because
that's a family there. It's like a family AKA. That's the way you hear the guys talk about it.
Yeah, oh no, it is a family. Like, it's the same as any other massive gym like that, like SVG, American Top Team, AKA. There's a lot of little circles within big gyms like that. It's a community type of gym, depending on your personality and who you get on with and who you don't. There's always going to be like animosity in massive gyms like that. It's a fighter's gym, and there's, you know, egos involved. But for me, I feel like AK was great fit for me beforehand and more so afterwards as well. You know, like I made a great connection with everyone over there. I get on great with everyone over there, and Javier I consider a very good friend and a great coach. So yeah.
Yeah. How often would you go over there? And how long would sorry Ross? How long Myles would you go there for? And how much time would you actually spend there as well?
Well, first time I spent there was for 3 months, and then the second time was for 2 months, and then now I'm just going to stay going over every month. I was actually meant to go over only a few weeks ago to train with Khabib and a couple of my friends over there, like Kyle and a few lads had fights coming up. So I was like, you know what? Even if I don't have any coming up, I just want to go over to keep the connection and see the guys over there. You know what I mean? Because I do enjoy just being there in general. It's a nice breakaway for me, and I just like helping people out. That's good for me too. So
yeah, and when if you're getting beat up, at least you can get a bit of a tan as well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, nothing better than that, getting beat up and getting a tan.
I have a bit of a two-parter for you now, Myles. First one is, do you get to train with the original batch of AK fighters like Koscheck, Fitch, Mike Swick?
Lads, love sparring with John Fitch. He is a beast. Yeah, I trained with John Fitch. I was starstruck by John Fitch, if I was being honest, for a while, because he would have been one of the guys I watched back in the day. Like when people come up to me and they're like, "Who's John Fitch?" I'm like, "What? How do you not know who John Fitch is? He's a fucking legend, like." And he's the nicest guy as well. You know what I mean? He'd help you like you just stay there. If you ask him a question, he'll just stay there until you get it perfect. And he's such a great spar, such a great coach, and he's a real genuine guy as well. You know what I mean? Really, really genuine. So I was so happy to train with John Fitch, but I got to see a lot of the other old school guys like Cain Velasquez and all that and chatted to him, but John was closer to my weight, so he was the guy I got to train with most. You know.
I actually met John Fitch's wife one time, and I was talking for about 15 minutes before I realised, and then she was like, "Oh, what you do?" And I was like, "Oh, well, you know, like me and my friend have a podcast and I'm MMA." She's like, "No way, my husband's an MMA fighter." I was like, "Oh, what's his name?" I expected to be like, "Oh, Phil Dakota, some like random fella from Oklahoma or something like that who I've never seen before." I was like, "Oh, John Fitch," as in John Fitch who fought like George St. Pierre for the belt, and she was like, "Yeah, that guy." And I was like, "Jesus," I was like, put a solid argument. He's like top 5 best welterweights of all time. I was like, he's an absolute legend.
Yeah, I thought he won that fight against Rory McDonald as well.
Yeah, so did I actually when I was watching it, and I couldn't believe it because I sort of thought maybe he was past his prime, and you know, John Fitch was all fitched out, but
he has that grind in him. You won't get that grind out of John. You know, he mightn't be the best striker in the world, but if he gets a hold of you, it's going to be a while getting away.
And he would have been like a long time reigning champion in the UFC if it wasn't for George St. Pierre. If George St. Pierre did not exist, John Fitch was the man.
Yeah, and you know, I think he got dealt a bit of a hard card, a little bit like Jake Shields and Norman Park. You know, they're kind of all in that category where they're not very good for promotions in the sense that they're going to win loads of fights and they mightn't beat the champion, but they'll take out all the people that could potentially beat the champion. You know, so and they're not the most exciting guys to watch, but they're, you know, for martial artists, pure martial artists, they're great fighters and you can admire kind of their style. But for the average fan, it's just not good for business, really.
Yeah, I get you. Obviously, there's like you training with Khabib is something that's like well documented. Can you tell us like what it's like training with Khabib and what he's like as a person as well? Like we previously had Josh Thompson on the show. He was telling us about him, but we'd love to hear like an Irish opinion on it.
I really like Khabib. I consider him a friend, most definitely. I wouldn't consider him a close friend, you know, because we're from different cultures, you know what I mean? And I think that's what makes us good friends in a way, because there's a respect there, you know what I mean? I like to keep my distance too, you know what I mean? And he has his friends and his Dagestani crew and the guys he's been training with in AK for years, and I'm only really new to the place, really. Like I plan on having like a long relationship with AK and going over every year, so that'll probably build over time. But I think there's just a great mutual respect between me and Khabib, and that does come from blood, sweat, and tears in the cage as well. So that kind of built over time. It's hard not to build respect for people that help you grow, like, you know what I mean? So I feel like the two of us definitely helped each other grow more so. He helped me grow, so because it's great to step in there with the champ, like, you know what I mean, and to do some solid rounds with him. and I gave him my best. So we built a good relationship from there.
What's the wrestling like?
Oh, another level. It's just he does the little things very, very well. You learn a lot about not to make things too complex and to keep your fundamentals in check, and to think long term in regards to your fitness and your conditioning. I've always been big on conditioning. I've never had any issue with conditioning in fights, and it really kind of solidified that in my game, how much of an advantage it can be in competitions. As long as I use it, like fight, I feel like I didn't leave everything in the tank, or didn't empty the tank enough in that fight. I wasn't even really gassed out at the end of it, So I think it gave me a great indication of how important conditioning is, Like, I don't think Khabib does anything particularly different in regards to techniques. I think he meshes the Sambo style is a very awkward style to deal with, especially for pure wrestlers. There's a lot of tricks hybrided with wrestling techniques, and that's very interesting to watch, especially when you watch the wrestling sessions and how NCAA wrestlers match up against top level Sambo fighters. And it's a very interesting matches. There's a lot of good wars that go on in the gym, unseen wars,
Yeah.
So I think that's what makes him different is the Sambo, the awkwardness, the awkward Sambo style, the real emphasis on conditioning and just the fundamental movements,
Yeah. I saw you also try to recruit him for the Kilkenny Gala team.
I know, yeah, I had to do that. Well,
that picture was hilarious.
That picture is famous. It's a famous picture, that is. There's
it turned out my friend Tom Kyo, he's on the Kilkenny hurling team before. He's a very good friend of mine. He's on the James Stevens hurling team as well. And I said to him, look, I'd be savage. I'd like, because he got me a pair of Cleto Ray's gloves, Khabib, and I was like, what? Jesus, I couldn't believe that. Like, should I be around a pair of them? He's like, no way I dish out for them. They're fucking pricey. And
Myles pricey.
Yeah, good man. Myles pricey.
Myles pricey. And so I just said, you know what, it'd be nice to just give him a gesture of fucking thank you by getting a Kilkenny jersey, keeping in the county as well, So
yeah,
I got Tom to send it over. It was the perfect fit and all, so it was pretty cool,
Yeah, because there was another picture Will Fleury gave to John Lineker of a Tipperary shirt. Yeah. And I remember we actually put up into the story, Ross. Remember there was a Khabib in the Kilkenny top and Johnny Walker with a Tipperary top. It was like which one was better? Yeah. But obviously Khabib wrestling is on a different level. But obviously Khabib's wrestling's on a different level. But is there any other people in AK that have that style as well? Because it's crazy.
I think Islam's probably going to be the next lightweight champion. I mean,
Islam Makhachev?
Islam Makhachev, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that he's probably going to be the next big thing. If I was being honest with you, I mean, he's just one of those guys that he's definitely the most standout of everybody in AK in regards to levels. You haven't really seen it in the cage yet, in the octagon, and you might never will. Some guys don't fulfill. I feel like I've only shined a few times in my career. And I feel like there's a building blocks to that. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need to have performances where you look kind of okay and you're not letting go, and there's a lot kind of that ties into the transition between how you perform in the gym and in the cage, and that might only shine through sometimes. And then with Islam, it hasn't even shone through at all. He's destroyed lads as well, but still, when you look at how he performs in the gym compared to how he does in the cage, there's no comparison. He just rapes lads, I've been in there with him, and it's just when Javier asks me, and I'm just like, oh my god, no. No, he's just a nightmare, you know what I mean? He just throws NCAA lads around as well.
Yeah. He struggles to get a fight as well, doesn't he?
Sorry?
He struggles to get a fight. I know Kevin Lee was sort of calling him out for a while, and I feel like he's someone who doesn't have a name yet, and people are like, oh, don't fight him because they know how good he is.
He is very good, yeah, and he's risky too. You know what I mean? It's like there's other things that come into that as well. Kevin Lee is kind of taking the risk there. He's a much more well-known fighter, and Islam is extremely dangerous, but not as well known. Khabib is very, very popular because he has a certain, he's done a great job, Khabib, because his style is kind of notoriously known to be boring, but he's made it exciting with the vicious ground and pound. And his English ain't too bad either. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Islam's English is in the main West and stuff.
Yeah. Obviously, before we get before we move on, who can you see Khabib losing to in the 155 division, and if or even in the 170 pound? Because this is something that like we've asked numerous people and they just don't know.
I think Conor, to be honest with you. I think Conor's the only guy that can beat Khabib. I mean, there's nobody really else in the division that can control. Like, I've hit Khabib with everything but the kitchen sink, and I'm not a knockout artist or anything like that. Like, that's why I target the body a lot in my fights, you know.
Yeah.
So like, but Conor does have serious knockout power. Like, I mean, he's the only fucker to ever break my nose as well in sparring. Like, I mean, like he's serious. He's rocked me a few times. You know what I mean? And you know, I've never been like knocked out or anything like that, but he's definitely probably the hardest hitter I've ever come across anyway. And you know, it's just there's nobody else really in the division that has that other than Conor, you know. And I feel like that if there's anyone to beat him, it would be Conor, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? But if it gets past rounds 3 again, he's fecked. You know what I mean? He really is. Like, you know, it's just he has to do it in the rounds 1 and 2, and if he doesn't, it's just going to go into deep waters again, and that's game over. You know, the only other one that could do well, I think, would be maybe Justin Gaethje, but you know, I just don't think he has. I think he's more of a brawler, and you start brawling with Khabib, he's going to take it out.
Yeah. What about Tony Ferguson?
Sorry.
What about Tony Ferguson?
I think Tony. Personally, like, I just feel like Tony's he's almost too unorthodox, and he doesn't really, you don't really look at Tony Ferguson's game and you go, wow, he's fundamentally sound. It looks like he's just made up all these techniques and it works so well for him, you know what I mean? Like, it's his style, you know. It's what makes him great, and it's what makes him win fights. But I just feel like that he'll make a load of mistakes that he won't be allowed to get away with Khabib that he has in the past opponents, you know. And it will be Khabib's toughest fight, but it will go the 5 rounds, and it'll be just like another decision for Khabib, I feel, you know.
Hold on there, lads. Hold on. Hello, John Kavanagh. Oh, what's that? Myles Price is allowed back in SPG after saying Conor McGregor can beat Khabib. Brilliant news, lads.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. You're back in. You're welcome in SPG again.
I'm Team Rhino for life. Don't mind that.
Myles, we have to get into your most recent fight. It was in Bellator Dublin. You were like in the build up to this against Peter Creedy. This was something that like all the fans were like really, really enjoying. Like something they were looking forward to, because I feel like Bellator sometimes there's no real like, you know, there's how do you explain it? There's no real like story. Sort of, yeah, like a story. Like obviously the Richie Coyle,
few grudge matches.
Yeah, like Richie Coyle against MVP, that was funny as well in the build up. Like, you know, but like you and Peter.
Yeah, but the only problem with that is that I think with the likes of it is exciting the build up, but like Richie is a very good fighter, but he just isn't MVP's level. Not yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like after you won the fight, like nobody really noticed till after that you were like one of the only few people. Like, I think only a couple of people that won that didn't get a shot in the mic. Did you ever find out why you weren't given that opportunity? Because that was a big moment for you.
It was a big moment. I had a couple of things that I wanted to say as well, like in regards to just giving my respects to SBG and the team, and it's all martial arts and stuff like that, and just leave it at dead at that. Like, you know, like I don't hold any grudges against Bellator, but I think it kind of speaks for itself about where their intentions are and the respect they have for fighters as a whole. I think it was very disrespectful. It wasn't only disrespectful to me, it was disrespectful to my team, and it was disrespectful to mixed martial arts as a whole. I feel like that you should give a martial artist his time in the mic when it's due, and I trained very, very hard for that, and I put a lot of myself into that fight camp, and I think that it shows favoritism. It doesn't show that there's a lot of fairness in that promotion, and I like Bellator. I do a lot, but I think it's very unfair how they treated me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, what's called sorry, Ross, let me just get this out of the way. the thing is, us doing this show, right? Like we do cover MMA, we do cover boxing, we do cover rugby, and we do cover football, and then we also have like comedians on the show as well. But like we're never like trying to stir shit, and we're like just trying to get like just actually have a good chat and to entertain people. And like when you won that, like it was sort of like the build up, it was this, that, and the other, but you not getting that chance, it was like, here, look, that's really unfair, and like that like that was just not right, you know. I don't know where I was going on that tangent, but it was just like, we're not here to.
But you had to get it off your chest.
Yeah. We were just like no. I felt bad for you, man. After like doing that in the build up, you were seen as the bad guy. Then like you won like that. I think that was a huge opportunity for you for them to get pushed, because you haven't been on a Bellator card since, and that's the main reason.
That's where I sort of want to get into it. First of all, did the build up on social media get you? Because I'm pretty sure like there was like rat emojis being posted everywhere with your name against it, and then like Peter Quealy's walkout was probably like the biggest walkout in Bellator history. You know what I mean? Like when he comes out to Zombie. You know what I mean? So I was just wondering, like, did either of those two things get you? And then did anyone from SBG say anything to you after the fight?
Let me think here. First off, Aisling Day.
I know it's hers first.
He got the taken off her. He didn't go for his own shit. But what was the other question again?
So just were you fazed by the walkout, or like the comments on social media beforehand? Yeah.
No, I wasn't at all, to be honest with you. I know who I am as a person. I know my morals. I know my principles. So I think when you have that intact and you know who you are, you know, like you can call me anything you want. Like, you know, I know who I am. I know where I stand, and I know what I represent. So, like, it doesn't mean anything to me. Like, if it hurt me, then it would be more of an indication that I actually believed I was that person. You know what I mean? I was a rat and I betrayed. I knew I wasn't. So, you can call me what you want. Like, you know. And in regards to the Peters walkout, I don't really get phased by that, because I probably would have years ago in my when I was younger, because like little things like that, external things would have probably gotten to me. I do a lot of sports performance, mental training leading up to fights with Rich Shanahan. He's Team Rhino, is sports psychologist, and he was my first one. So those things just don't faze me. I just tunnel vision when it comes to fighting. And in regards to guys I talk to outside in SBG, I more so kind of bump into the jiu-jitsu guys, and they're really lovely guys, and I have a lot of respect for them. I have a lot of respect for a lot of the SBG guys. I just don't agree with some of their actions and how they portray themselves. And
did you, Peter, have a few words after the fight?
Yeah, like I just not in the back or anything like that. No, like I don't think that myself and Peter will ever have that kind of relationship. You know, I feel like that it was just respect, that we fought and we gave it all, and I had a lot of respect for him, that he kind of said that the beef was over. But he started going down the roads then of making excuses as to how he felt he won the fight and how these polls said that he won. But of course those polls are going to say that. One, they could be rigged, or two, there are a load of keyboard warriors that are SBG fans. Like, I mean, they're the most popular gym in probably the world. Like, I mean, like anyone that trains over there who's close to Conor is of course going to, like, you know what I mean, be favorited with the fans and stuff. Like, that's just the way it goes. Like.
Yeah, I think what I was trying to get out earlier for I don't know what I was saying, but I was just like, after seeing that, like, everyone's sort of against you, almost looked like, and then for you to win, it was like, right, you not getting that 5 minutes to just be like, here, look, this is me. I'm after doing thanks or not thanks. Like you're to not explain yourself, but just, I don't know, you're just robbed at that moment, and I just didn't sit well with me, you know. Like, and the effort all MMA athletes have, if they win and they don't get that chance, it's just real. It's like,
well, especially I feel that fight as well, like, you know what I mean, because it was the fight that everyone kind of came to see as well. It was co-main event.
Yeah, and then you weren't even on the next few cards. So I just couldn't believe it. I was like, because I met you a few weeks after, or however long after, I was like, I thought he was a really nice guy, and he's after coming out, and that's people fight their whole careers to get a moment like that to win, to then get the trajectory. Like, look at the amount of UFC fighters looking for that big win, and then that was your big win. And then it was just like put in the shelf. And then look what Peter Quealy's gone on and done. Came back against Ryan Scott, one iconic fights in Ireland.
Yeah, there's just look, that's just straight up politics. That's what that is, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and to be honest with you, like, I think if I was more of in this game for the money and what people think of me and my social media followers, I probably would have taken it. It just, you know, I'm not in this for that. I fought for years for not getting any purses. And the fact of the matter is that I leave my personal life behind when I train for fights. I leave my team behind when I train for fights. They deserve my attention. The people that I love, the people that I care about, my friends, my family, my team at home that aren't getting the attention that they need to get because I'm focusing on myself for fights. I need to fucking make a decision on what it's worth if I'm not getting treated the way I should be getting treated. It's like the first fight they offered me was against a guy that was coming off a 6-year layoff, and I knew he was good too, and he was risky at the bottom of the fucking prelims. And I just came off a co-main event win a Bellator, and now Peter's fighting a top rank opponent in the co-main against, oh fucking whatever was co-main event against who was it against that?
Ryan Scope.
That was Scope that time, yeah.
Yeah, Scope.
Like, how does that make any sense? Like,
Scope arguably won that fight against Pitbull as well. So like, I don't know, it just didn't make sense. You know, I mean,
it was a huge fight, like, and then on top of that, like, you know, I did call out Kiefer on social media because I was extremely riled up. It got to me a little bit. I got frustrated, and I talked to a couple of my very close friends that would be completely honest with me. That wouldn't be business minded, but more so kind of like morally and like
Personal.
You know, they want best for me as a person. You know what I mean? And they said, look, Kiefer Crosby is a good fucking fight for you if you're coming off a loss. You know what I mean? Like, because you're taking all the risk here. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, you're jumping into this fight against a guy that, you know, he is risky, Kiefer. He's a very good fighter, like, but he's risky, like, you know, like anything can happen in a fight. I know I beat him, like, you know, he's exactly right on my street for someone to beat, like, you know, but like, why am I doing this if I'm just taking, if I did a fight like that and I come back and I'm begging for almost a fight, like, you know what I mean, off something I shouldn't have to. And I was like, you know, I'm going to put my fucking focus into my team now because that's where it matters the most. And it just wouldn't have sat right with me if I fought, like, even for the fact that they offered me a guy coming off a 6-year
Who was
that? Ryan Roddy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then I had to beg almost for a fight like Kiefer, which in a way was a win-win for him. Like, he's not as experienced as me. He's not actually established at all in the fucking lightweight division. He's just going around asking.
He hasn't fought there yet.
He hasn't fought there yet. She's going around just like being Billy Big Balls, asking to fucking have his own fight division. Like, you know, it's like I know I'd fucking smash Kiefer, but why am I giving him the opportunity when, like, look at where Peter is on this card? Like, he's co-main event against like a top ranked opponent. Like, it just didn't sit well with me. And I was like, do you know what? If I came off a loss, I'd take the fight at Kiefer in a heartbeat because it is a good fight in those circumstances. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not in this for social media likes or money. If you're going against what I feel like is just and right, I'm going to put my focus into something else, and I don't care what people think about that. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing as well. Like obviously I said it earlier, but if that had happened to anyone, we'd still be like that. If that wouldn't go down with me as well, you know. If the shoe was on the other foot, say Peter won, and Peter was down and you were up, I'd be like, here, what? Like, Peter's have to win it. You know what I mean? But
I think Barry, that we were talking to Philip Mo Peter, the Honey Badger, very likeable guy, that he was saying they need to stop putting all the Irish guys against the Irish guys. They've done that for like too long, and like the Irish guys need to fight, I don't know, UK guys, European guys, American guys. So therefore, like, it makes it more obvious who to cheer for as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Well,
like, the thing is that I'm probably going to, like, a lot of my fights, if I do fight for Bellator again or for someone else, me preferably, I'd like to fight guys from other countries because I don't like fighting against the guys that I have to bump into all the time in the MMA circuit, especially when there's a animosity between us. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you see them on the bus. You see them on the bus, and the seat beside them is the only one that's free. And you're like, oh, here we go.
All the SVG boys are the bullies at the back of the bus, so I'm the goody two-shoes.
Myles, Bellator Dublin rolls around in October. Who do you think you're going to end up a match against if you do get on the card, and who would you like to fight?
When is it? October, is it?
Yeah.
How many months away is that now? What month are we in now? Lost track.
Or in April. So it's 5 months away.
Oh, do you know what? They'll probably match me up again. Like you see, circumstances are different now. Again, I'll probably if they offer me Kiefer now, I'll probably fucking take it. You're probably gonna offer me again Kiefer Crosby, if I was being honest. And look, it's gone to that stage now where, like, the fact of the matter is that you can't hold on to something you did past. Like I was, like, at the time, I felt it was the right decision for me not to take those fights. For me now, I feel like it would be a good fight against Kiefer because I'm not as relevant as what I was like a year ago. Obviously, it was a long time ago. A lot has happened from then. So, like, for them, you see, they're a business. Bellator is a business, and John Kavanagh has extremely close ties in that. So you're never really going to win if you're fighting against an SBG guy, especially in Ireland. But I'm in this catch-22 where I have to fight SBG guys almost because I haven't lost against an SBG guy, and I have a reputation of kind of having a bit of beef with them, even though I don't really care about it. Like, I don't actually have beef with them, but I'm very vocal about my opinion. Like, if somebody tells me something, I'm not going to hold back how I feel just to make other people feel nice about themselves. I don't care,
Yeah. That's almost like Ricky Bandejas as well. He's after beating a few of the SPG lads, and now Brian Moore wants him next.
Yeah, that's a good fight. Brian's a good fighter. I like Brian.
Yeah, I'm not even messing, Myles. The people we've had on the show have all been fucking sound. Like, you're obviously getting added to the list. Well, maybe we'll see at the end of this goes. But yeah, no, it's just cool. I'm, like, to be honest, like, myself and Ross just want everyone to do well. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
I do.
In fairness, there's a big enough pond that everyone can do well as well.
Yeah. Especially in Ireland. Look, I'm just in this sticky predicament where it's great for marketing for me versus an SBG guy. But at the end of the day, like, we're all from Ireland. We should all be supporting each other, and it is about facing guys on them bigger stages.
Yeah. But
and also, let's be honest. It's not like Conor didn't have some sort of Russian fella in his camp doing a bit of sambo. You know what I mean? Like, where's that fella getting all the abuse?
Yeah, of course. But sure, like, that's not how it. That's just not.
That's not how it came about. You just happened to be there, and then happened to be the Irish guy who decided to be ostracized.
It's crazy amount of coincidences, to be honest with you. I wouldn't blame people for feeling that I did it deliberately. To be honest, like, there's nothing I can do to stop them from putting all these things together and going, he did it deliberately. So.
Yeah, it was portrayed as that, and I was like, did he actually do that? And then, like, you find out actually, like, no, and then you know what I mean. Then you're like, oh,
And also, you can't blame, like, if someone like, I don't even like train MMA, like, but if someone's like, do you want to go train with Khabib? I'd be like, oh well, I have to do it. Like, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. You know what I mean? And Daniel Cormier as well, like, one like the goats to ever do it. You know what I mean? Luke Rockhold, Josh Thompson. I mean, you have some of the best boys in the world out there. It's like, it's a no-brainer to say yes.
Had some cracking spars with Josh as well. He's a beast.
Yeah,
he's our good mate.
Yeah,
me and him had a good whiskey one time.
He's a good guy, Josh. Yeah,
he is. But Myles, man, we're gonna have to get you back on again in the build up to your next fight, no matter where it is. And hopefully you stay safe during the rest of this lockdown. You're a good man.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys.
Ross, anything else to say?
No, guys. As you can see, the headlines from this: Khabib's an animal. Conor can beat him. He doesn't actually hate the SPG guys. So if you do agree with all those facts, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and as always,
stay energized.
Stay energized.